Hi, good morning. My name is Gokul. I lead the design and development of products at Madhi, and I have with me Ashwin. Ashwin is the head of engineering. We have our mentor Vinod, who unfortunately couldn't be here. So we'll get started. So Madhi Foundation has been working for the last decade. All of us would have heard about the foundational learning crisis, right? And if we take a walk around a locality, 4 in 5 students wouldn't be able to read a class 2 text, and they wouldn't be able to do a simple subtraction problem. And this has been existing for almost the last 3 decades. And there are several initiatives that's been happening, and Madhi has been playing its role, strengthening the foundational literacy numeracy problem. And in Tamil Nadu, we've been working on both the supply and demand side of things. So on the supply side of things, we take up the system change approach, where we directly work with the state government in order to influence their capacity building, curriculum development, the systems and assessment frameworks, etc. And we are the prime PMU working out of the state's office and implementing this mission across the state. And on the demand side of things, we work directly with parents, where we are able to make them aware of the child's education and help them advocate for it. And in the supply side of things is where something called Vallamai comes in place, which we'll talk about shortly. So let's think about this whole problem in a classroom level, right? And let's imagine a teacher named Kavita who's teaching, and there are around 25 students in the classroom. The first thing that happens is all the students are from grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 sitting within the same physical classroom, and Miss Kavita is trying to teach English to all of them at the same time. Now, Kavita doesn't really know who needs help and what help do they need. Even if Kavita tries to conduct assessments, it is extremely time consuming. Let's say Kavita is a high skill, high well teacher, conducts the assessment, but even after that data existing with her, she doesn't know what initiatives or what steps to take beyond that. Now imagine this problem for 70% of the classrooms in Tamil Nadu that have multi-grade classrooms. Now this is really where Vallamai 1.0 that we started a year back comes into place. Our objective was simple, right? It is a bilingual mobile app which is AI enabled, and it was used by both teachers and coaches. Coaches are essentially 1:25 teachers that they work with. They visit a classroom, observe the classroom and give feedback. And simply the teachers conduct assessments, and the moment they do it, the AI automatically categorizes students into learning levels and gives them feedback. And the coaches conduct observations, and then they're able to understand where does the teacher needs to improve and how. And for that to happen, what we built is the speech-based assessment layer, which significantly reduced the assessment time for almost 20 minutes per student to 5 minutes per student. Teachers loved it, right? And it will give this group-based, it'll have level-based grouping. And post that, the teachers could ask the chatbot any question: how do I create lesson plans? How do I remediate, etc. And we thought this would simply work because we wanted it to be simple so that the teachers can adopt. But the learning after 3 months was the assessments are conducted only once in a month, and the adoption of the chatbot was extremely low. This is something we should have caught it much earlier, but then we went ahead with the usual framework to say that if people need, they will ask. That's when we went back to the teachers to understand this better. We conducted interviews with 22 teachers, and what we realized was most of them said they don't really go back to the scores to decide what do they want to do in the classroom. They decide on it real time. Today I'm speaking here, there are 50 people here, I'm able to understand who's listening, who's distracted at the laptop, who do I want to focus on, etc. So the teacher is making a decision real time. And a lot of these data points are there within the heads of the teacher. And what we also heard was almost 77% of the teachers rely on the observation in the classroom rather than the scores that they go back to. And this was the biggest gap that we had, right? Whatever is the decision that relied on the heads of the teacher, how do we use that to make and enable them to make better decisions? That is really where Vallamai 2.0 comes in place. Vallamai 2.0 is the teacher's second brain that we have built. What it simply does from a teacher standpoint is the teacher inputs a 2-minute voice journal after every class and conducts that assessment once in a month. And the app understands how does the teacher performing, how are the students performing in the classroom, and accordingly gives them lesson plan and level-based remediation. While that is the front end of it, in the back end, what you have built for the second brain are these 4 layers. The first layer understands all the voice journals and identify patterns in it. And the second, it goes through the student performance, both through the journal and through the assessments, and identify where do they stand in their competency levels. And then we have the teacher performance to understand what the areas of strength and development of the teacher are. And finally, the classroom context. I could be teaching in Nilgiris and I would have 2 people in my class 1 and 5 people in class 3. Accordingly, I'll have the activities and timings adjusted. This way, what we believe is a classroom activity and lesson plan that is customized to every classroom makes the teacher feel a lot more stronger in terms of how they are catering to the class, and that the students also feel a lot more supported. We started piloting this, and we'll show you 2 scenarios on how it works. The first scenario is Ms. Kavita is talking about how most of the students really didn't understand the topic that I was teaching today. And what the app understands in the background is Arumbu, Motor are the different learning levels, and then it categorizes them and then comes up with a lesson plan to say how the teacher really needs to reteach this whole lesson today, right? So in this process, if you see, it has my class 3 and it has a remediation section that's automatically added for 15 minutes, which will enable me to reteach that whole topic but with a different activity this time. So this way I'm able to understand where they are lacking, solve for it before I go on to the next lesson. But imagine the teacher is teaching and it is maybe a few students who didn't understand the concept. In which case, what the app does, it really calls out for the particular students who didn't understand that particular topic and then says what exactly they could do for those respective students in order to support them. So in class 1, almost 80% of the students understood the topic, but in remediation, I only have Lakshmi Vardhan and Sandhya who didn't understand. So I'm given specific activities that the teacher could give for them while they continue with the rest of the class. And additionally, it has activities for people who have completed the activity faster. That way, a student who's really well performing doesn't feel held back while the other class is still coping up with the other topics that are there. So with this, what happened was now we were ready, right? The backend systems were working, in lab everything was working fine. But what we earlier had was all of this was a black box. All the 4 things that would happen in the background, we had zero visibility to it. Then through the AI cohort, what we have done is added a complete observation layer that helps us to track every part of it, to understand what all happens in the background, how many seconds did my lesson plan generation take, where does it go wrong, etc. This gives us the confidence to say that even if something breaks, we'll be able to identify where it breaks, and that's when we started testing. So we went to a group of teacher advisors who we generally work with across the whole of last year, and then we pitched it to them. Here's what they said, right? So they said it really helps them save time, it helps them understanding how they could remediate faster, and also at the same time keep it similar to the structure that they're already used to, right? The lesson plan as such is no alien to them. It follows the same structure that they've been using through forever now. What they also said is how it could be improved, because the flow and activities depends on how students are picking up on each class. And second is how remediation needs to be more accurate and see whether the students are understanding and tweak it accordingly. And finally, the materials needed for these activities might have to be more contextualized. While all of this feedback was coming, we built our confidence from 3 things to say that this works. The first was, it was reducing teachers' preparation and assessment time from 8 hours per week to 45 minutes per week. This is the biggest layer that all the teachers gave us feedback, and I think this is the biggest thing that we want to continue to focus towards to reduce the teacher burden. Second is, we are able to achieve it at a cost of INR 2 rupees per month, and this in comparison to the state's spends on the assessments and other training materials, we are able to do this at almost 30% of the cost. And finally, we are building a behavior that enables this change, which is for the teachers to reflect, and which we believe even if the app doesn't sustain and if the behavior sustains, it in itself is the biggest win for us. With that in place, we've already started doing our internal testing. We are rolling it out to 45 teachers in next month. And once after we get good feedback, we are rolling it out to 2 districts with 2 different contexts for 90 teachers. And once after that is done, we are opening up the broader scale. There are 3 major learnings that we want to share. One, I'm sure through the presentation, some of you would have already identified, is the balance that we want to draw between over-engineering and keeping it very simple. And it is a very critical balance, and we are working with teachers regularly to see what is the right place where we get it right. The second is every teacher has their own skill sets and strengths, and they make decisions very differently. For the app to be able to cater to it and add value to it is going to be important. So that way we don't want to treat all teachers the same. We want to customize as much as needed to really focus on the teacher's strengths and abilities and how they would like to run their classroom. And finally, build the habit of reflection is not easy because it is an aspect for them to acknowledge something not going great or to say that something went well and to have that self-appreciation for teachers. We are hoping the app is enabling that in a lot more safe and easy manner for them. And we have built for across states. We are already bilingual. We have about 8 languages through Bhashni. For this year in particular, by the end of this year, we are hoping to reach 2,400 teachers with 9 districts in Tamil Nadu and 1 district in Meghalaya. The foundation is simple, right? Essentially, the teachers do 2 inputs, conduct voice journals every day, which is for 2 to 5 minutes, and then conduct assessments once in a month. They get 2 outputs, contextualized lesson plans and level-based remediation. And across this, what we think is, if the remediation is faster, if the teacher is able to take actions faster, then the child feels more supported, heard, and safe in that place. And this is really what we hope Vallamai will achieve. And Vallamai in Tamil stands for strength and capability, and that is really what we hope we are able to deliver for both teachers and coaches. Thank you so much.